plan for public schools.
President Trump's refusal to concede the election could impact the distribution of a potentially life-saving COVID-19 vaccine. I'm Deborah Alfrone in Capitol Hill with how President-elect Biden is moving forward despite the delayed transition.
And a look at AAA's Thanksgiving travel forecast.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Missouri governor announces new guidelines for schools across the state concerning COVID close contacts. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the new guidelines were announced at a news conference yesterday from the Capitol. Under the new plan, students and faculty who are close contacts of a positive COVID-19 case can remain in school as long as certain criteria are met. Now, those criteria include a mask mandate in place in the district. The contact and the positive case both must have been wearing masks properly, and the close contact must not be exhibiting COVID symptoms.
Sometimes it feels like we're quarantining kids from education, not from COVID, and it's very critical to have these kids in class. Online works for some, but not for all, and we think this is a positive change. We're still going to be very safe. We still have protocols in place. We're always concerned about the safety of our kids and our staff, and we'll continue to follow that.
And we spoke with 3 separate superintendents who told us in the past they've had several calls from parents of students who have been quarantined multiple times, yet never got sick. The superintendents hope the new guidelines will reduce the number of unnecessary quarantines. Well, in contrast, America's largest school district, New York City, is on the brink of stopping in-person learning. Right now, 2.6% of coronavirus tests in the city are positive. The mayor says if that number hits 3%, he will close public schools immediately. Well, it may be sunny now, but that's about to change tonight. Michael Haslip joins us with the first look at the forecast.
Not going to be too bad, though. I don't want anybody to think we're looking at anything severe, but yeah, we're setting up for what's going to be a wet, late Friday night, and looks like the beginning of our weekend as well. Before we get there, let's talk about the cooler temperatures that we've had to end our work and school week from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. Only 48 degrees, and we still have a wind chill in effect, only feeling right now like it's 44. 50 in Pittsburgh, 49 in Cassville, 47 in Chanute. Always do like to point out those are actual temperatures. Those are not wind chills, so go ahead and drop 4 to 5 degrees off from what you're seeing. It has been clear as a high pressure system hangs over the upper Midwest. It moves down through the 4 states, but you can tell where the cloud cover is beginning to grow. Now, we haven't seen a whole lot of moisture associated with that on the western part of Oklahoma. That is going to change, though, as we work through the late night hours and into Saturday morning. Take a look at the panels. You'll see at midnight, that's when it really begins to develop. So I'd say about 10, 11 o'clock tonight, that's when it pops up to the southwest. And as it works through, takes us through the early Saturday morning hours, and then watch this thing linger out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri while southeast Kansas begins to clear off. Temperature's still going to be in the 60s tomorrow. Cool on Sunday, but a lot of sunshine and a good chance to dry out, and then a warming trend next week. Coming up here in just a little bit, Tanya, I know that everybody's going to be excited about a high school football Friday night with playoff action. We'll go ahead and look at temperatures around kickoffs, and if you have to be on the road, what you can expect when you're going to and fro.
All right, a lot to discuss. Thank you so much, Michael. Well, advisors to President Trump tell CBS News the president is increasingly aware his lawsuits will not change the election. He wants to be seen as a fighter, so his campaign will continue fighting the election in the courts. Now, the Biden camp says that fight is hampering transition efforts. Deborah Alfrone has more details from Capitol Hill.
CBS News has called Arizona for President-elect Joe Biden. The win puts Mr. Biden at 290 Electoral College votes, further cementing his win. President-elect Biden's new chief of staff, Ron Klain, told MSNBC that the Trump administration's blocking of transition efforts is hurting their ability to combat the coronavirus pandemic.
The sooner we can get our transition experts into meetings with the folks who are planning that vaccination campaign, the more seamless the transition from a Biden presidency to a Trump presidency can be.
The president is receiving a briefing on Operation Warp Speed, the plan to distribute COVID vaccines nationwide.
Right now, there are officials inside the Department of Health and Human Services who are busy planning a vaccination campaign for the months of February and March, when Joe Biden will be president.
Only 4 Republican senators have acknowledged President-elect Biden's win. But even some of the president's strongest allies are now saying that Mr. Biden should receive intelligence briefings.
We should be in the same posture that we were in throughout the whole campaign, with both of them receiving briefings as they're both trying to be able to prepare.
China is the latest nation to reach out to Mr. Biden to congratulate him on his victory. But foreign nations are having to set up these calls without the assistance of the State Department.
A lot of these world leaders know how to reach him. He is speaking to them. They are congratulating him on his election as president.
Meanwhile, President Trump is tweeting conspiracy theories about voting machines changing votes. But the government agency in charge of election security refuted that, saying there is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Washington.
Well, the head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which issued that statement, has told associates he's expecting President Trump to fire him. That's according to Reuters and Politico. 4 astronauts are scheduled to blast off from Kennedy Space Center to the International Space Station this weekend. The joint SpaceX-NASA mission, called Crew 1, is set for liftoff from Florida at 6:49 p.m. Central Time. That's tomorrow evening. This mission will mark the start of regular crew rotation flights to the ISS using American-made commercial spacecraft. Mark Strassman is there.
Commander Michael Hopkins and his crew arrived in Florida by charter jet. They plan to depart tomorrow by rocket ship.
We're starting this new era where we're going to rotate crews to the International Space Station from American soils with our commercial partners like SpaceX.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA, go SpaceX.
Their mission follows this summer's successful demonstration flight of Crew Dragon, SpaceX's new ship. America no longer needs the Russians to get to the space station. Crew Dragon will carry 4 astronauts, its first full flight. More astronauts means more science aboard the $100 billion orbiting lab. Astronauts Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Soichi Noguchi of Japan are all spaceflight veterans. Pilot Victor Glover is the rookie.
Every single bit of the mission. It'll be the first time I've been able to do that thing in space. Do not latch and the IMV is closed.
Glover is 44. The former Navy pilot is the father of 4 girls. In the lab's 20-year history, he'll become the first black astronaut to stay for a long-duration mission.
Does that mean something to you?
I will once I get there. I try not to think about that too much. I think it is important for our astronaut corps and the accomplishments of our agency to represent the beautiful variety in this country. And so it is important to have kids who look like me or look like I looked when I was younger, see someone that they can relate to that way.
The road to any launch is long and hard. COVID-19 made this one harder. That's why the crew named their spaceship Resilience.
We felt like if the name of our vehicle could give a little hope, a little inspiration, put a smile on people's face, then that is definitely what we wanted to do, and we felt like Resilience was the name that did that.
For SpaceX and for NASA, this 6-month mission and this moment are what they've been aiming for all along, the start of regular, scheduled, crewed missions between Florida and the space station. Mark Strassman, CBS News, at the Kennedy Space Center.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, AAA predicts around 50 million people will travel for the Thanksgiving holiday, and many of them on planes. We're going to take a look at the numbers. Plus, we're making a 5-star pumpkin bread in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Keep it here. Well, tens of millions of Americans will drive or fly for the Thanksgiving holiday despite the pandemic. CBS News has learned the TSA expects to screen more than 6 million people in the days ahead. That's leading to concerns about an even bigger surge in the virus nationwide. Chris Van Cleve reports.
A socially distanced Thanksgiving came early for Laura Douglas's family, celebrating outside in October. There were fewer guests. Visiting family were spaced apart at separate tables, and masks were worn. It allowed the family to be together, but not too close together.
My mother is a cancer patient, so she's at high risk, and we knew that there would be no way to spend time with my parents if we didn't figure out something that was very, very different.
This year will be different. AAA's newly released Thanksgiving travel forecast expects up to 50 million will travel, down at least 10% from last year. 95% will drive as people opt for last-minute trips and stay closer to home. AAA believes those flying will drop nearly 48%, but airlines are gearing up for their busiest stretch since the start of the pandemic. This travel holiday comes as the CDC warns even small household gatherings are an important contributor to the rise in COVID-19 cases. Former CDC Director Dr. Thomas Frieden.
Unfortunately, because so many people may get together during Thanksgiving at a time when COVID rates are so high, we might see explosive spread through the month of December, and the December holidays would become a very unmerry Christmas.
The CDC is encouraging people who do gather for Thanksgiving to keep it small. Your immediate household or a small group of close contacts, ideally who live in the same area you do. Wear a mask when you're not eating. Try to be outdoors. If you're indoors, open as many windows as you can to increase ventilation and stay out of cramped spaces, which for many may mean staying out of the kitchen. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
Well, still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
If you're not sure when you should be using canned pumpkin versus pumpkin pie filling, we're here to help you out. We'll also be sharing a to-die-for pumpkin recipe.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Let's go ahead and finish off our work week as we head into the weekend, and even with a high of only 48 so far, look at this, November average high still sitting about 69 degrees. That's actually the 10th highest for the first 13 days on record. So it certainly hasn't been too bad. We just got spoiled with that slew of 70s. Now we've had 2 freeze warnings this week as we still sit in the mid 40s. We did throw up a 50 right there in Girard, starting to see 49s out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri. Here at the mothership, tell you what, only feels like it's 44. We'll kind of break down our barometer, why it's falling, and extremely dry right now. As far as what it feels like outside, like I said, you can knock off about anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees. So our wind chills are consistently going to be mid to high 40s. It's not going to feel like it's 55 here by the time it's all said and done. As we see the cold front now stretching from the Rio Grande all the way through the Great Lakes and coming right through the 4 states. Now, high pressure system that we have hanging over us that's resulted in all our blue sky and sunshine today, it was actually located about right here this morning. So we're starting to see that easterly push that it's going to take for the rest of the day. And what that will allow our precipitable water to do off the Gulf Coast comes up through Texas, and then it's going to transition and head our way overnight in this Saturday morning. That being said, in the meantime, still a delightful afternoon and evening with a whole lot of sunshine. Like I said, as that high pressure continues to move off, that's where we'll see the emergence of the cloud cover down to the south. But as of yet, haven't seen any rain associated with that in either the Sooner State or the Lone Star State. Jet stream, just kind of a constant mess. Really hasn't made any definitive progress here in the last couple days, pushing from west to east. Whole bunch of action out in the Pacific Northwest. That's actually kind of good for them. They need a whole bunch of rain after how dry they were this summer and fall, and the amount of wildfires that they had. Would be nice if they could take some of this, filter it down into Southern California. On the other side of the coast, we've got Ada, the remnants of Ada, I should say, now a low pressure system. Still going to have storm surge concerns along North Carolina and even up through portions of Virginia and Maryland right there until it finally pushes off here for the weekend and makes its way into the Atlantic. Got to remember, that thing made landfall 4 different times. Push up into the mid 50s here this afternoon. Wind's going to shift to the east, just 5 to 10 miles per hour, so it really won't have that much of a deterrence on perhaps your football forecast. A whole bunch of schools, we're fortunate enough to have this every year, it seems like, playing high school playoff football. And we've got a slew of kickoff times that really range from about 5:30 to 7 o'clock. But as you can tell, while it gets a little cool out there, don't have to worry about the rain getting on us until we get to about 10, 11 o'clock tonight. And that's when we see the emergence of thunderstorm activity out there in the southwest. And as this thing rolls through, watch how it clings to the eastern edge of southwest Missouri into the afternoon hours. Southeast Kansas going to clear off first there. Well, that's about 3 p.m. But once we get into the evening, it's still holding on in southwest Missouri. Not have any flooding concerns. We are looking at anywhere from probably, I'll go 1/10 to half an inch most places. I'd say 3/4 of an inch to an inch, about the most you'll see, even if you get caught in a downpour. And once again, I'll tie a bow on it. I like to come full circle. That's how you finish off a work week.
Love it. And like we talked about this morning, it's best just to be prepared out there. Stay inside if you can. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Charles Bandy in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Joplin joined the Army Signal Corps Radar Division in 1941. He was stationed in Trinidad and on the Grenada Islands. Bandy earned a Good Conduct Medal and the World War II Victory Medal. To Charles Bandy, we thank you, our four-state hero. We're making pumpkin bread with a secret ingredient in the batter. Howard shows us how to make his 5-star pumpkin bread in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, this is the time of year when we start craving anything and everything with pumpkin in it. And that means we often find ourselves at the store staring at the canned pumpkin, wondering if we should buy pure pumpkin or pumpkin pie filling. Lucky for you, we're here to help. Pure pumpkin is, just as it says, it's simply pie pumpkins that have been cooked down with no spices added. This is used when our recipe calls for us to add spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves. On the other hand, pumpkin pie filling is the same cooked and mashed pumpkin, but it's loaded with a bunch of fall spices, which at times is really convenient. Since we're on a pumpkin kick, I can't think of anything better to make than our easy pumpkin bread. We start with canned pure pumpkin, since we'll be adding lots of cinnamon and ground cloves to our batter. And because this recipe makes 2 loaves, you can keep one for yourself and wrap the other one up to share with a fellow pumpkin lover. To get the recipe for our 5-star pumpkin bread, you know what to do. Visit our website. I promise you won't be disappointed. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a purely pumpkin way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
In case you're wondering what that secret ingredient was, cream cheese. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Once again, the key factor for today is be mindful. Late night when the thunderstorm activity begins, as it sweeps in from the southwest, going to last all the way through Saturday morning. And if you're on the eastern portion of southwest Missouri, that rain's going to hold on until Saturday evening. Now, let's check in with Dow and look at what's coming up tonight at 5.
Yeah, at 5, a German businessman isn't letting the coronavirus lockdown steal his Christmas spirit. We're going to take you to the drive-through Christmas market he's created, complete with roasted chestnuts, artificial snow, and Christmas carols. Plus, public schools in Missouri see a steep drop in enrollment during the pandemic. We're going to hear what some of our local districts are seeing. And deer hunters might find it hard to schedule processing their kill, with area butchers already backed up due to COVID. Join us. Those stories, a lot more KOAM News at 5.
All right, thanks, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.